We begin in Haiti, where the president's assassination has sowed fear over the fate of the country.
Poursuite l'a continué. La police a déterminé.
Haitian police have killed 4 suspects in a gun battle and detained 6 others. 2 of them are reported to be U.S. citizens. Police also freed 3 others being held hostage. A manhunt is underway for others who raided the home of President Jovenel Moïse and killed him. Prime Minister Claude Joseph will lead the Caribbean nation until an election is held. The Right Honourable Michaëlle Jean served as Canada's 27th Governor General and is Haitian Canadian. She is in Ottawa. Your Excellency, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I wonder if we could start with the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse. What does that say to you about the state of Haiti right now?
You know, first I want to say that the country is appalled. You can sense how much the air is filled with anxiety. The streets are empty right now. And most striking is the heavy silence of the population. And that will explain the context of this assassination. We're talking about a population that is completely drained, overwhelmed by misery. People have simply endured too much, suffered a lot. For months, fire and terror have tormented the capital city of Port-au-Prince. Insecurity has become the rule, with armed gangs calling the shots, kidnappings, assassinations, targeted attacks proliferate. Neighborhoods have been torched. We saw women, young people, even toddlers, journalists, activists, high-ranking figures of the judiciary, for example, merchants slaughtered. Horror everywhere on a daily basis. So we saw also how the carnage has emptied whole sectors of the city, its inhabitants fleeing violent rampages and revenge killings between armed groups. And even more troubling, the police and the military have clashed recently, sending passers-by to scramble in panic under the heavy fire of weapons of war. So this comes as the conflict escalated between the national police and a core of Haitian armed forces. Total impunity, and that's even the worst part of it. Total impunity remains the prevailing practice in this nightmare. The victims never being heard, no investigation is conducted, there's no justice, just absolute opposite. And what we see instead is a president in strange coexistence, in cahoots even with the gangs, seeking their favors, protecting them, giving them free rein, total impunity. And so a president who also placed himself above the law, refusing to obey the Constitution, mandating that he leave office by February 7 earlier this year under the pretext that he was sworn in only after a late decision by the Electoral Council in 2015. So you see, the erosion of trust is total. And people are seeing this happening, this level of insecurity gaining even, the president and the institutions, the state itself. So that's the situation the country is in right now.
What about the situation the government is in right now? With the president assassinated, the prime minister has said he is in charge of the country. The UN special envoy has recognized Claude Joseph's government and said this government should take the country to elections, but yet Mr. Joseph was due to be replaced by another prime minister this very week. So when you look at that, do you consider Mr. Joseph the legitimate leader of Haiti at this point in time? Is his government legitimate?
This is part also of the problem. The situation is also complicated by the fact that you have described. The interim prime minister, Claude Joseph, was dismissed by the president, Jovenel Moïse, a few days ago, appointing Ariel Henry in his place, who was to become the 7th prime minister in less than 5 years. And Henry was to be sworn in on July 7th, the day the head of state was assassinated. So in the meantime, Claude Joseph jumped to fill the vacuum, believing himself invested with the authority to declare even a state of siege, a measure that can be legally considered only in the event of civil war or invasion by a foreign power, and moreover, only with the agreement of the National Assembly, which became inoperative over a year ago. And one can say that both Joseph and Henry are illegitimate, and it's that also complicates the situation. And worse still, the highest authority designated by the Constitution to act as interim president, the head of the Supreme Court of Justice, died last month of COVID-19. The Chamber of Deputies, because it's a bicameral system, the Chamber of Deputies has been non-existent since January 2020. And Jovenel Moïse left it that way. Only 10 of the 30 seats are currently filled in the Senate, and the president of the Senate was out of the country in the Dominican Republic the day Jovenel Moïse was assassinated. So you see, there's right now not really an institution in capacity of really taking care and carrying out, the transition that is needed.
So how do they get to the point of legitimacy? Like, what steps does Haiti, whether it's Mr. Joseph or with the help of the international community, what are the steps they need to take in the wake of a presidential assassination to get to the point of some sort of functioning legitimacy at the governmental level?
You see, as we are talking right now, there are, and since yesterday, there are discussions among the opposition parties, really with the harrowing questions, and also civil society organizations participating in these discussions. I mean, phoning each other's and they are facing right now at this juncture the urgent need to save the nation. This is what is happening. So there must be a dialogue. There must be a dialogue, something that would actually bring a coalition government to organize new elections based on the rule of law and democracy. And for that dialogue to happen, of course, countries who are allies, who want to see democracy back and better in Haiti, must be there to ease this dialogue because it is so necessary. People are in complete shock right now, including the opposition parties, because to see a situation like this one, a commando, heavily armed, penetrating in the president's residence to gun him down, and it's unbelievable. And there are no evidence that the security detail even showed some resistance. Mm-hmm. It's like
So what does that tell you?
In their way.
What does that tell you? I mean, no signs of resistance.
What it tells me,
go ahead.
Yeah. So what it tells me is that the inquiry has to address this fact. Who in the country was capable of sponsoring and organizing such a criminal, operation? Who had enough influence actually to make sure that there would be no resistance, from the security detail on the scene? Because indeed, nothing seemingly stood in their way. And actually, from what we're hearing and seeing of the members of these commandos that have been identified and some eliminated, they seem to be, from Venezuela. They were able to enter the country, and they found all the equipment they needed and all the weapons they needed. And they were really well equipped.
I mean, does that give you any sense of who could have been behind this?
And so this is an important question. This is what the inquiry must show. I will not come with names here, but let me tell you, it's something incredible, and it shows that some criminal organizations, but also some incredible support were at work to organize this. Definitely.
So you speak to the need for an inquiry. Given the circumstances you've outlined, that there clearly is significant financial support, significant logistical support, and maybe even some sort of political component to this, is that an inquiry that Haiti can do itself, or is that an inquiry that the international community, either through the United Nations or some other organization, needs to spearhead?
I think the police itself, the national police itself, has been so much infiltrated by these criminal organizations that it will take some help coming, from an independent party, and I mean foreign support, to carry out this investigation. Definitely, yeah.
Okay, Your Excellency, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.